like to ask you a few questions.
Over the years, Dying Light has become one of the most iconic horror games in the modern day, so it was obvious a sequel would be on the way. And we all know a sequel is always the best thing that could happen to a game. Alright, maybe not. But in my opinion, Dying Light 2, even though it had a rocky start, has become a fitting sequel to a game that revolutionized the genre. And in the next I have no idea how many minutes, I'd love to show you why. I'm on a journey to hit 100k by the end of the year, so if you go on to enjoy the video, please subscribe. This game was originally supposed to come out in 2019, but due to development issues and then later a virus that I can't say because YouTube will strike me down harder than my sneaky link did last night, it still hurts to sit down. Finally releasing in 2022, we were at last able to experience all the amazing features promised to us in the original trailer. I'm of course lying, because almost not a single feature from that trailer got put into the game. However, after the game's release and a ton of backlash, Techland haven't given up on this game, implementing update after update, bringing this game closer and closer to what was promised, and in my opinion, the game in its current state is awesome. Mainly because I can do this. And if you ask me, this game is finally a one-to-one to the experience that was promised all the way back in 2018 at E3. For all my fellow autists in the audience, that is what we call sarcasm. We begin the game hot off of a chase, meeting up with Spike. That's the cool guy from the first game. We climb up and go on a little run where Spike gives us a tutorial on how to make bandages by combining honey and chamomile. How the hell does that work? Never mind. We magically find $1 million home and do what anyone would do when they come across a big house like this. Loot! For legal reasons, I'm joking. Something cool in the house I found was a record you can pick up, and if you've played Dead Island for like 5 minutes, you'll know why this is so special.
Hoodoo you voodoo. Sounds familiar.
Finding Spike on the roof, we take a seat and share a beer with him, something I haven't been able to do in a long time. The last time I had a beer with someone, I woke up a week later wearing a clown outfit in the middle of Tijuana. We then leave to make contact with someone outside of the city who is going to help us get in so we can look for our sister Maria. You're probably asking, girl hands, who is Matilda? I have no idea. Anyway, we go outside to fix the power where we're introduced to a new enemy type, the Witch. She's a hag-like creature with sharp claws and a slender figure. Oh, god damn it! Jokes aside, I like the addition of a mobile infected that you can kill early on. It breaks up the loop of fighting big and slow zombies over and over. After defeating her, we fix the power and take a nap, because fighting zombies is hard and really tiring. You know what helps with that? The sponsor of today's video, Gamer7. No, I'm kidding. That would be cool though.
We put hot sauce on my butt plug. My bad.
Waking up, we make contact on the radio and start our journey towards the city, where on our way, we encounter a really big antenna. Obviously ignoring it and continuing towards the city, I immediately climbed as high as I could. That's just fear, bro. The fuck you're talking about?
That's just anxiety, brother. Oh, you're giving me a phantom headache. Stop.
You're just giving me a phantom pain. Bro, not even kidding. I got no fear. I don't even give a gaff, honestly. I don't give a gaff.
I don't give a gaff. So that phantom shit kicks into.
My phantom shit. Guys, I ate too much. I gotta go take a phantom shit. I then jumped off, breaking every bone in my body, but after a quick Far Cry heal, I was alright. After a short swim and some stern talking tos, we enter a subway tunnel where we encounter our first volatile, where the years of potty training I went through were tested. And then I am saved by a Valorant player's biggest fear, a blacklight. The man who saved us is named Jeff. This is not his actual name, but I couldn't be bothered to remember his real name, so he will be named Jeff. I mean, I could probably look back and see what his name... Oh shit, he's dead. Before he died, however, he gave us this thing called a Agree key. It opens doors because it's a key. I wish they could, like, talk normal. Me and the short bus. After having a swim through a copious amount of water, we finally arrive at the Bazaar, where we meet Hakon. He's this game's cool partner. Think the Outsider from Dishonored, or Jackie from Cyberpunk, Roach from The Witcher 3. She was the real MVP of that game. We stan Roach on this fucking channel. Hakon then takes us through the game, introducing us to the world in this game's second faction, the Peacekeepers. More on them later. He leads me up this building where I realize this game has the famous yellow paint that we all know and love. If I've learned anything from the last game, it's fucking yellow means up. It's also funny because I've started playing RE4 in the meantime. And that game pretty much means the exact same thing. Nightfall soon after, and I start to feel the side effects of my shirtless Leon Kennedy withdrawals. Getting back on my feet, Hakon tells me that we need to find UV light to stop the infection from taking over. Because something science, something logic, you understand. We race into the night towards the Bazaar where we are shut out due to classism. You see, I didn't have their super special shiny bracelet, so I wasn't allowed in, even after showing off my awesome moves. Spent like a week learning that. Hakon leads us to his Irish friend, where I knew we'd be safe because an Irish person has never done anything bad during the night. We show him our flash drive containing the Guinness recipe, and he immediately lets us in, where I am finally able to sleep after getting chased by all the fine Latinas while reading feminist literature. I'm 6'4", by the way. After my quick nap, Hakon calls me on the radio telling me to head to the GRE hospital. You see, the special bracelet I need actually tracks your infection meter. If it starts beeping, you gotta get some UV radiation, either from this or this. And apparently the only way to get a new one now is inside the GRE hospital. Now this is actually my favorite mission out of all the ones I played, and oh boy, I'm gonna tell you why. You see, up until this point, we've had some good separation from the infected, even at night. But now we have to enter into a very dark and cramped area with tons of sleeping infected. Think I Am Legend, but in reverse. Great movie, by the way. Go watch it if you haven't. But here we have this game's introduction to the fear that the night brings you, and it's a stark contrast to the last game. The last game's night mission was us getting caught by volatiles and having to run away, which was a very good way to get our heart pumping and create a sense of fear as we got chased through the streets of Iran in what seems to be the darkest nighttime I've ever seen. There's 3 zombies in this screenshot I took. Can you see them? Because I fucking can't. It reminds me of a friend I used to have. We called him 1159, and I will not elaborate on why. But this game's mission is all about creating tension. It has you sneaking through a not-so-abandoned hospital to retrieve your shiny bracelet, navigating tons of infected, trying not to wake them up in the process. I think my favorite part about this mission has got to be how it all looks. I'm really used to games looking super realistic, but not in a cool way. They end up looking really dull in my opinion, but this game's nighttime atmosphere is incredible to me, and I personally have to thank the lighting artists. Oh shit, I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of these names. Łukasz Shibua, Marcin Lepiecki, and Fabio Salvi. I apologize in advance, I'm a white guy from Florida, that was never gonna sound good. But I do want to thank them, because this mission took me an extra 5 to 10 minutes for this simple reason that I kept looking around and admiring how everything looked. My only issue is these little crystal areas around the hospital. They look kind of cool, and I know they have a lore reason, which Hakon explains over the radio, but they glow very bright, and it takes away a lot of the mystery the darkness creates, which serves to kill some of the fear. But you know what I really hated that I realized almost immediately? This game's flashlight. It's such a small issue, but it genuinely took me out of the game so often, and I ended up having to keep it off so I didn't get annoyed with how bad it looked. The best way I can explain why I hate it is that it doesn't actually act as a light source, more so a projected luminance shader that is locked in a cone. The best way to visualize this is with this sexy guy. We have a wall behind him and a light in front of him. Now when we move the wall away, you can see the shadow is almost non-existent. But when we go in game and shine our flashlight on this thing, while standing very far away from the hospital, you can still see it casts a very sharp shadow directly onto the hospital that shouldn't even be receiving any light from an apocalyptic flashlight. After that autistic rant, we finally retrieve our Rolex, but I'm not used to having this much drip, so it hurts to put on at first, but we quickly adapt to the ice. But when we do, it immediately turns red, meaning we need to get outside fast before we turn. And on our way out, we get our first real good look at this game's volatile design, and honestly, meh. But more on that later. We make it outside, taunt the local homeless population, and finally unlock co-op. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about my co-op experience now, because there's not going to be a better time for it. The positives? It's fun, like really fun. I'm at a point in my life where the majority of games I play are co-op because I just enjoy playing with my friends, and this game was some of the most fun I had playing with another person, and I've played Lego Batman 2. God, I fucking love that game. Something else that was really fun was doing races and challenges together, and even better was these random pop-up competitions which were really engaging and served as something fun to do on the way to our next mission. Except this do more damage one. The timer for it is 5 minutes, which is way too long, so it ends up becoming just a who can find more zombies competition, because at some points of the game, you kind of do roughly the same amount of damage. Now the negatives. Oh boy, the negative. It doesn't work. Like, no, genuinely, it never worked most of the time, and every recording session we had was buffered by like 10 to 20 minutes of trying to join each other's games, and the first time was even worse. We were genuinely stuck at this hospital roof for like 45 minutes because of how janky and broken the whole experience was. The moral of the story is that the co-op in this game is phenomenal, some of the best I've ever experienced, but only when it works. Do with that information what you will. After finally joining each other's games, me and Icy headed to the Bazaar.
This game got so much more fun now that I know I can kill civilians.
Oh my god.
Can I take this guy's axe?
Look at the other one.
No, bro's first instinct when he starts playing this game.
I wonder what I can steal.
Oh, so many people to kill in here. I could kill everyone in here, right? Like, this is possible?
No!
Oh. At least that guy won his hat. Why is he so fat?
Shortly after arriving, Hakon calls us and tells us to meet him on a roof. Now, you remember earlier when I said the co-op was really fun? Yeah, I wasn't lying. There's more than an hour left in the recording from this day, and we spent the entire time running around doing random shit.
Killing shit or?
We can do a quest, but we're just fucking around at this point. Oh, shit!
Yeah. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Hey, whoa! Chill out. Oh shit! Oh wow, that was great. Look at this. Look at this. You can open it from downstairs.
Wait, what the fuck? I got Dark Hollows
Dark
for
Hollows
Forsaken
Forgotten Stories.
Forsaken Stories.
Oh, that's Forsaken.
Not even close.
Wait, Forsaken.
Destiny reference! After doing completely nothing for an hour, we finally went and talked to Hakon.
Hakon.
You're a better climber than one crazy girl I used to know. She was something. She even wanted to climb the tallest building in the city, the VNC Tower.
I got a building that's taller.
Almost. Too hot-tempered, even for my tastes.
Yeah, New York had two, but...
And after that short talk, we immediately went to sleep because we spent the entire day goofing off and progressing the story by like 2% and doing what Icy like to call throwing honey buns at people. I woke up the next day to play the game, but I had a little bit of time before Icy got on too, so I just walked and ran around the city admiring the world, and I spent a lot of time taking notes about things I really liked. It's not often that I'm able to appreciate how a game looks anymore. In this age of gaming, with every single developer trying to one-up the last and add 10,000 more pores on the face, or, oh, look at my game, I have realistic pubic hair displacement. It's gotten really boring when everyone focuses on super hyper-realism. Some of my favorite games are a lot more stylized in their appearance. Dishonored 2 is up there in my top 5 favorite games, and the look of this game is so stylized, and it is still able to have such a gorgeous look without focusing so heavily on how realistic this guy's bald spot reflection is. My point in all this is that I'm fatigued with the current state of graphics, and yet I couldn't help but just admire how this game looked. Even when it looked like the sunniest day in London, I still thought it was absolutely beautiful, and one of my most immersive gaming experiences I've played in a long time. I found myself wanting to take the game slower so I could experience all this world had to offer visually. The last time I felt something like that was when I played The Witcher 3. Now I will admit, it isn't the exact same. That game had me reading fucking signposts on the way to the next mission. But that kind of thing has been missing for me in a lot of games, and this game gives it back to me when I thought it was something I lost. Now back to the story. We need to get to this big city area because of plot reasons, but Hakon told us the only way there is through the subway tunnels, which are guarded by the Peacekeepers. So of course we spend another hour doing nothing to progress the story, then sneak into the tunnel to try and get to the city without dealing with the Peacekeepers.
It's like throwing fucking sticky honey buns at crackheads on the street.
Stop saying that! We get close, but are caught with our pants down and knocked out. We wake up and are immediately interrogated by one of the Peacekeepers before she is pushed aside by my favorite character in this game. And I'm not joking, he beats all of them for me as my favorite. He tells us that his commander was murdered, and they believe it was done by someone in the Bazaar, and offers free passage to the city if we can find the lapis lazuli, a weapon used by I don't remember his name. And now that I think about it, I only remember like 4 people's names from the game, and I'm counting Aiden. We agree to help him so we can get to the city and find our sister Macklemore. Hakon tells us about a fence named Hubert, and says we should talk to him if we want to find the lapis lazuli. On our way to Hubert, we stop at a forgotten store, which are activities you do at night, because during the day, the area is filled with infected and very dangerous. We immediately did it during the day, because we're alpha males. And before we found Hubert, we spent a lot of time using this game's parkour system, and I got some things to say about it. On release, this game's parkour system was a big change from the first one, and Techland received a lot of backlash for it. You see, the first game's parkour felt very real and weighty, and to explain that better, when you hit something in Dying Light, you hit it hard. And when you jumped from one building to another, you really felt the weight of Kyle Crane's midlife crisis physique. But in the second game, he plays a character who has been genetically modified with Mountain Dew, or something else. I didn't really pay attention. But because of these enhancements, his body is stronger and his parkour feels a lot more weightless, which can make sense in the context of the story, but from a gameplay standpoint, I can understand why a lot of players were upset. But how did it make me feel? Honestly? I didn't really care that much. In all honesty, I barely noticed it. Don't get me wrong, when I paid attention, I could definitely feel the difference, but this game is so beautiful and fun that I didn't really care about the difference and acclimated pretty quickly to this game's system. And that's not to say that everyone who didn't like it did something wrong or their opinion is wrong. Everyone's opinion is their own, and you can't really say they're wrong. Unless you're a Drake fan, then your opinion is wrong. There were plenty of problems on release, like a dumbass stamina bar when you were climbing, and I'm so glad we didn't have to record this video while that was still in the game. But I believe Techland has gotten this game's system to a really good spot over the years, and I loved the traversal probably more than I did in the first game. And one of the best changes from the first game is the dynamic music system they added to parkouring around the map. You see, when you first start running around the city, you'll start building an invisible combo that the game tracks, which is directly linked to the soundtrack. It's something that not a lot of people notice until you point it out, but to a nerd like me, that shit was like a drug. When you start running, the song is very basic with minimal instruments and chords, but the longer you go and the more moves you string together, the more notes and chords are added to the bass track, making for a super engaging trip around Villador. It was honestly one of the best things about this game's entire movement system for me, except for the dropkick, of course. Nothing beats that motherfucker. And that traversal weaves in perfectly with this game's combat system. There are a ton of movement attacks that fit so well as a transition from parkour into combat and vice versa. And obviously the dropkick is still the best one. As soon as I learned you could do that in the first game, my pants expanded by a whole 2 inches, and using it felt like creating an infinite loop of dopamine. But while the movement attacks are very fun to use, this game's combat system is so engaging and feels incredibly real. Techland added an advanced gore system and countless finishers for each of your weapons, making the entire game feel like an extended Mortal Kombat fatality, and it was one of my favorite parts of the whole system. I found myself beelining it for a group of zombies as soon as I got a new weapon, just to see the new finisher weapon, and every single time it did not disappoint. But I think the best addition was to the human combat, which was very lackluster in the first game. A parry and block system has been added, which made me feel so much more capable in fights against humans, allowing me to stay in the fight, whereas in the first game, more often than not, I would have to keep running away to survive the fights. Now, I was going to try and talk a lot about the weapons in the game, but honestly, there's not much to say. The only thing I really need to say is the fact that I can whack someone with a table leg and immediately whip out a Glock and light them up is peak Detroit energy, and I had a blast the entire time. Oh, and we also found Hubert on a rooftop, where he tells us the weapon is too hot to hold on to, and all I can think of is how good of a weapon can it be if it's too hot to even touch. Honestly, a huge plot hole in my opinion. But he did tell us that someone named Maya tried to sell the weapon to him. Now, to have this weapon, this Maya must be a warrior. Someone strong and capable to take out a PK commander. Someone tall, and it was a 10-year-old. A fucking child had it somehow. The kid gives us the weapon, and we return to Ator to show him what we got from our 1-hour mining session, and he's very pleased. I was going to show him the diamonds, but apparently all he cared about was the lapis lazuli. Sexy Pants tells us that if we want to get into the city, we need to find the commander's killer. We're obviously upset because we thought the lapis would be enough to get us through the tunnels, but Ator says that it isn't enough and finding the killer is the only way. He also lets us in on a little bit of hot gossip. Apparently the killer took something very important that belonged to the commander as a sort of trophy. A copy of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Honestly, I would have stolen it too. That game is spectacular. Amazing even. If we find that, we'll know who the killer is. We left our sneaky link, and my immersion was immediately broken. A woman in the military! Hakon is loitering outside and tells us that Sophie is the one to talk to at the Bazaar if we want to get any intel on the survivors. Now we arrive at the Bazaar where we meet Barney, which is his real name. You wanna know how I remember it over all of the other characters? Because I fucking hate this dude. More on that later. Can that little twink shut the fuck up before I cave in his skull?
Carl said if you show up,
Hey.
bring your own, so
Take a
don't
shite on his
himself.
corpse.
What a nice chance
Hey.
for wanting to hang them.
God save the queen.
That's not even remotely the same location. It's not even geographically in the same place.
Jair.
Did you just call me a jigger? Now, I would tell you what happens here, but it gets overshadowed by one of the most annoying things in games for me. Like it's top 5 on my shit list when I play a game. We first talk to a weird religious guy who asks us if we are wolves, sheep, or shepherds. Our alphaness forces us to answer wolves, where he is frightened by the beast inside of us, and immediately tells us what Sophie is.
You're sure well informed.
Don't have much of a choice. I'm in charge of safety here. Besides, yesterday you made quite an entrance.
I'm looking for a
She
job.
remembers
you
me.
happen
Oh
to
my
know
god,
of
stop.
This fucking
People
guy.
say you can be useful. A certain transaction.
What fucking accent does she have?
I can't even understand.
Fine.
I'm thinking
I'll
about
go talk to
Wingstop.
one of
I'm
those
being
craft
real. I'm not even
Should be
paying
a
Fat
attention.
fuck.
Do well and
We find her, and she says to get in their good graces, we need to do jobs at the Craftmasters. But then we go to the Craftmaster and have to go right back to Sophie. Developers, stop doing this boomerang shit. It's a small offense here, but I used to be a Destiny player, and oh boy, that game lived by this boomerang bullshit. Returning back to Sophie, she gets a call on the radio from her brother begging for help. He went into a forgotten store during the day, and obviously his team wasn't as skilled as mine, so they got overrun and needed us to come save their asses. This is where we learn that we don't like Barney and hope he dies a horrible, painful death at my own hands. He was a little rude to us at the door, and the pizza place forgot my cheese sticks, so I think the hatred is justified. Barney does tell us that one of his teammates lured the zombies away, and we need to find him. We're such nice people, so we agree and track him down from the smell of his feet. That's not even a joke, it really does look like that's what you're doing. We eventually do find the teammate that saved Barney, and where we learn that the hate for Barney is 100% justified. You see, Barney brought a fucking kid on this mission with him. A fucking child. A child that we then have to watch call his mother, say his last words to her, then die right in front of us. Fuck Barney, I hate him so much. More on that later. I really gotta stop saying that, but it's true, so I'll keep saying it until we get there. We head back to the bazaar, call Barney a fuckwad, and talk to his slightly more attractive sister. Blondes aren't my type. Apparently the bazaar is in debt to Penguin. They took too much birdseed or something, I don't remember. But they're going to negotiate and need protection, which is where I come in. We got distracted with like 3 side objectives, so when we got there, they were all dead. I mean, it's their fault for hiring me. I have the attention span of a 12-year-old who just discovered the fucking M1 Garand in Call of Duty. The whole point of this mission was to set up a conflict between the Penguin and Batman. Oh wait, no, that's the other game. Sophie and 2 generic white dudes. You see, these 2 guys, Joe and Jack Baker, are looking for this guy named Ethan Winters. He came here looking for us. Fuck, that's the wrong game too. Apparently Bazaar's in debt to Penguin. We got distracted for like 2 side objectives. Whole point is... Okay, I got it this time. Jack and Joe are these bandit guys, and they send some lackeys to steal from the bazaar and kill them instead of making a deal, which makes Sophie very angry. Understandable. So she wants to attack their base.
If you manage to take out those bandits,
Jack Cock and Joe Cunt.
you think killing
alright.
Monsieur's cock and cunt will change something?
Monsieur's
Interesting.
cock and
Changes a
cunt.
lot in a person's
Beautiful
life.
dialogue being
Carl
written,
was
bro.
wrong. We should have gone after them right away.
That gif of the guy fucking
But right or wrong,
writing
we
with
have to
fire.
help him. He's one of us. We'll rescue him.
Search Sophie's camp for clues to try to figure out who killed the commander, and we need to stick with Sophie to make sure she doesn't go back to the camp. Also, Ader says something nice, which adds to me liking him the most.
You came here just to warn me?
You helped me with the Lazarus, and I take care of my allies.
I swear to God, if I wasn't a questionably straight man, I would be all over Ader. On that note, I think it's time I finally talk about the Peacekeepers and this big conflict that is the main plot of the story at this point. You see, throughout the games, it's obvious that they try to paint the survivors as a sympathetic, obvious choice to side with, and the Peacekeepers as the militant, oppressive police state people. But my problem with this, and I noted this a lot during my playthrough, is that every interaction I've had with the Bazaar leaders, they were always sarcastic and really passive-aggressive, treating me kind of like a sewer rat. And then we meet the Peacekeepers, and obviously they're even worse, right? Wrong. Our first meeting with Ader, he immediately acts very mature and respectful, listens to what we want, says he can help, but only if we do something for him first, which is like, yeah, fair, I have no issue with that. And then you ask the Bazaar for something, and they treat you like you just took a shit in their cereal. And then set them on fucking fire. On our playthrough, we generally couldn't give 2 shits about the survivors. There's a mission right after you beat the bandit camp where Sophie is in trouble and you have to choose between helping her or heading to Hakon to get to the city. And the only reason we left to help Sophie is so we could kill more shit. We did not care about a single survivor or saving her, we were just bloodthirsty. I felt like Batman in that one stop motion video with the ice cream cart. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, in this mission, we also get to fight the big bald dude. Apparently he can speak English, he was just being a grunt. Get it? Cause he grunted the whole game. But I swear I don't see how the Bazaar was supposed to be the obvious choice. Maybe that changes later in the game, but by then I already don't want to like them, so it wouldn't matter much anyway. I don't know what the writing team was thinking, but how am I supposed to hate the guy that treated me like a human being after I just put up with like 6 annoying white women? If I wanted to deal with a ton of annoying white women, I would be at a Taylor Swift concert, not fucking Villador. I think the best example of the Bazaar being unlikable, at least to us, takes place a little later in the game. You see, after that whole bandit camp event, we confront Jack and Joe, who are about to blow up a water tower. We stop them and are given a choice on who to give the water to. We could either give control of the water to Bazaar or the PK. Now leading up to this moment, both sides have given solid argument. We gave it to the Peacekeepers. Like, almost immediately. Fuck the Bazaar. And after this, we go back to Barney's place to look for any evidence, and boy do we find the jackpot. The stolen copy of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. We caught him red-handed and he comes back, and we are so excited to hopefully kill this dude that I audibly cheered, but before I could kill him, Ader shows up and arrests him for the commander's murder or whatever. And since we gave Ador his killer, he opens up the tunnels and we are able to make our way towards the city. But something goes wrong and the station loses power, cutting off all of the UV lights, which is supposed to stop us from turning into a Valorant player who just lost their Reyna body pillow. Yes, I think she's the hottest one, for very obvious reasons. But a savior arrives in this PK named Anderson, who helps us get out. But when we do, guess who is right there to knock us out and take us hostage? Barney Stinson, you rat bat. We wake up and pretty much immediately kill this little pipsqueak and take his lunch money before stuffing him in a locker, Flash Thompson style, and leaving to go help Anderson. She took an elevator to the surface after helping us, but the power got cut and she doesn't have any more immunity boosters. When we arrive to help her, we get the power back on, but it was already too late.
Anderson, I'm here.
And this is where I want to make that next point I was talking about. You see, two characters from both sides just died in a very short time span. And when Anderson died, I genuinely felt sad and a little bit of loss, even though I barely knew her. Barney, however, we have known for a lot longer, and I kid you not, we were literally giddy with excitement to introduce this guy's face to the concrete. Repeatedly. I've been going through in my head thinking about the game and even replaying some missions, and the only way this makes sense to me is if Techland intentionally made the PK more likable than the Bazaar as a kind of subversion of your expectations, or a commentary on something, blah blah, I don't know. Now all of that was really negative. Justified 100%, but still negative, so I want to talk about the storytelling in this game I really enjoyed, the environmental storytelling and world building, which is one of my favorite parts of any game. The first part is the zombies designs. This game takes place 15 years after the first one, and you can really see that through the design of the zombies that plague the city. They look a lot more decayed, and something I really enjoyed was if you went near a hospital or quarantine zone, you could find zombies surrounding the place that were either in doctor's uniforms and hazmat gear, or you could find very sickly looking zombies. It really looked like after the infection spread, the inhabitants of these hospitals spilled out onto the street after losing the last thing they had left, their humanity. Another great example of time being shown is in the goons. In the first game, they seemed like mechanics or firefighters who were mutated by the infection to become even larger, holding a big piece of rebar to swing at us. But in the sequel, it seems they were holding it for so long that the rebar actually fused to their arm, replacing it. And over this time, they've become even larger, seemingly losing a lot more of their human features, becoming even more monstrous. The buildings surrounding the area, though, are even more interesting. Closer to the ground where all the infected live, the whole area is almost as dull color-wise as a Zack Snyder movie. But as you get higher, the color starts to crawl in, with the overgrown rooftops covered in grass and moss, or the multiple settlements created by the survivors to escape the horrors that have flooded the city's streets. It's something that really lent itself to this game's whole identity and look, and I really appreciated it during my playthrough. And what little I saw of the second area made me even more interested, especially with this cool-ass glider mechanic. You know I'm going to use the fuck out of that. Unless this video gets like 10 views and it'll just sit in my library untouched. Much like New Vegas. But all of that is about this game during the day. What makes this game really special is the nighttime. When that clock strikes sundown, everything changes. The music immediately cuts off, not coming back until sunrise, and a roar can be immediately heard from the volatiles being able to finally leave their nests and search for food. That food being you. Now, while exploring this game before the video, I preferred to play on gritty plus dark shaders, which makes the nighttime look ripped out of an episode of The Walking Dead in the best way possible. It makes the nighttime even darker than normal, which adds so much to the fear factor. And the ambience of the night makes it even scarier. You can hear the roars of the virals and volatiles seemingly just around the corner. You see, I'm not usually one for scary games. Hell, I just recently played Resident Evil 7, and I walked through that game like a senile old man, slicing the pie of every room I stepped into. But something about the adrenaline this game gives you is just so addicting to me that I found myself intentionally switching the game to night for a lot of missions just to play with that extra adrenaline of knowing my death could be around the very next corner I turned. And just like in the first game, UV light is used as a perfect contrast to the darkness, showing you a beacon of hope in even the darkest of the night. We then made it to Hakon's place where he gets shot with an arrow and it's revealed that he actually killed the commander. I don't really care that he did. Barney deserved every single thing we did to him, and maybe a little more. Now, I don't think that this twist is very obvious. Honestly, I didn't see it coming when I first played this game, but when this motherfucker saw it coming, and I kid you not, at the very start of the game, like immediately after we meet Aitor, this shitbag straight up just asks, "So did Hakon kill the commander?" And I just sat there like an idiot with my thumb up my ass, because if I say no, he'll hear the lie in my voice, and if I say yes, the whole story is spoiled. This fucking best friend thing is hard, dude. It is not for the weak, I'll tell you that. We chase Hakon's shooter up a building where we find something even scarier than an assassin. A woman! Oh, and spoiler alert, I'll give you a couple seconds to mute. Actually, no, I won't. You wouldn't be watching this if you cared about spoilers. This is Hakon's ex-wife. And you know who immediately called that too? This annoying-ass rugrat. I swear this douchebag is clairvoyant or something. It's pissing me off. Ada then calls us on the radio and tells us to meet him at the tunnel leading to the old car factory because Wario is hiding there. I didn't remember the bad guy's name, so I just picked the first W name that came to mind. We arrive at the tunnel where we're introduced to the Charger. I will give you 378 guesses to figure out what he does. If you guessed he pulls out a 6-shooter and turns the game into a Red Dead cutscene, you would be wrong. Why the fuck would you guess that? He runs at you. The Charger is one of 4 new enemy types introduced in this game. The Witch, the Charger, the GRE Anomaly, and the Drowner. So while looking up pictures for the Witch, I learned she's actually called the Banshee, and I've been calling her the wrong name this whole video. But I don't care. In the Halloween event, they dressed her up like a witch, not a banshee. So they can go fuck themselves. I'm right. I'm kidding, Techland. I love you. Please sponsor a Dying Light the Beast video. It looks really cool. I only counted 3 of them because the 4th is way later in the game. I do like the addition of the Witch and the Anomaly. The Witch serving as a fresh new addition, and like I said earlier, it's nice to have a very fast mini-boss type of zombie that is killable early game instead of the huge power spike that is the Volatiles. The GRE Anomaly is this game's early game boss, and it was really nice having a designated boss fight super early in the game that is relatively difficult. However, I didn't like how every anomaly was just the same enemy type. In my opinion, that makes them a lot less of an anomaly if they all just end up the same, and the first game did this a lot better in the following DLC. You could find mutated versions of already available enemy types which were really cool and fun to fight, like Thor, who is just a roided up goon the size of your mother. The Charger, however, seems very lackluster. Having an entire enemy type that just runs at you, forcing you to press a single button to completely counter it is very boring, and it seems like they could have just left him in the creative room because his addition seems very forced and uninspired. And apparently the Drowners only show up at the end of the game, which seems like such a waste. They are born from the water and could have been a really cool enemy throughout the city with a little bit of rework to the layout. Simply adding ponds and lakes and making them explorable areas crawling with Drowners could have been a really cool breakup from the buildings, but nope, they're in one area after the final mission. After fighting the Charger, we get to the car factory to confront Waluigi, where he calls us one of his, whatever that means, and sticks our Greek key into a console that does something, I don't know. And just as we're about to die to Winston from Overwatch 2, Angry Crossbow Lady comes in and saves the day, because we were really hot and she just couldn't let a sexy piece of meat like us die. However, Winston Churchill didn't die and instead transformed into something much worse, an Overwatch player who just went on a 10-loss streak. Gave me chills just saying it out loud. He chases us through the tunnels, and after losing him, we look around and wonder where's Waldo. But that doesn't matter anymore because we finally reached the city in all its glory, and thankfully all of the towers only come one at a time. There are no twins to worry about this time. Now that we've reached the city and I can finally relax, I want to talk about the overarching story that plagues this game, and I mean plagues in the most negative way I can. The game is building up to us finding our sister Morgan Le Fay and defeating Mayor Weaselton, and I think if you were to ask me what my most hated part of this game was, I would have to say that. When it comes to this game's story, it genuinely feels like Techland spent all day going absolutely apeshit at the office, creating an amazing and fun experience for players, and then they remembered they had to write a story, and by then it was already 5 p.m. and they had to get to Domino's for some bread bites. Or whatever the Polish version of Domino's is, which is... oh shit, Domino's. Now I was going to group up this whole section with the story, but I hate it so much I thought it deserved its own section here at the end. This game commits a cardinal sin for me in any media, a secondary main story that has nothing to do with what we do for most of the game. You see from the beginning, Aiden is very open about how he is looking for his sister Magneto, and through flashbacks we learn about this guy Wesley Snipes, who must be connected to how we find our sister. And you think this whole game would be really committed to finding her and looking for any clues possible. Nope. We spend almost the entire game dealing with the politics between the Bazaar and the PK, barely having anything to do with our sister. I feel like this game could have worked a lot better if Aiden was sort of an everyman. A random pilgrim who came to the city and through his skills and circumstance was thrusted into the story of an entire city's conflict. That isn't what we got, and it feels really lackluster, because I know I should be caring about finding Medea, but I really don't, and I can tell this game is building up to an ending that I just won't care about, because the writing spends almost no time getting me to care about Aiden or his sister, which is another reason I feel this game would have been a lot better with a more role-playing approach. Allowing us to step into the shoes of a skilled apocalyptic traveler could have been a really cool premise. I don't know, I'm just a dumb guy on YouTube, but I do care about games and want them to be good, and something that really matters in a game is its story. Without a good one, the game becomes forgettable and doesn't allow your mind to wonder or stick with it for a longer time. I still remember multiple points of The Witcher 3 right off the top of my head because that game spent so much time crafting a beautiful story with interwoven side missions that got you really intrigued, and most importantly, allowed you to make mistakes and feel the repercussions of your actions. In this game, there's like 3 choices that actually mattered, and I didn't play through any of them yet. The water tower choice, yeah, it doesn't matter that much. There's like 2 pieces of dialogue about it, and after that, it's just a small unlock through the city that you get based on which side you choose. I really wish we had something like E3 showed us with an evolving world, but that isn't the product that was delivered. Thanks for watching. I really enjoyed making this video and would love to spend more time making videos like this, so if this is something you enjoy, please do all the YouTuber stuff, you know, like, subscribe, leave a hate comment. Those are always fun to read. Love you all, and I'll see you next year when I upload again.